How you doing?
It's the summer of 2001, and Gary Condit's role in the Chandra Levy case is blocking out the sun.
So the pressure is mounting on Congressman Condit.
The parents turn up the heat on Gary Condit.
The story was a congressman with an intern. It wasn't the story about this poor girl being missing and all these families being destroyed over this.
Posters of the young intern are plastered from the Potomac to Capitol Hill. Her parents determined to keep their missing daughter in the public eye.
Where is Chandra?
They make the rounds on television.
We just want her back.
But it's not easy to maintain a brave face.
Help us. Help us find her.
That's Dr. Levy breaking down on ABC Sacramento affiliate KXTV. Police continue grilling the congressman, trying to tamp down the speculation.
The congressman was not a suspect before the meeting. He was not a suspect during the meeting, and he is not a suspect since the meeting.
Yet the Levys are convinced that Condit not only committed adultery, but perhaps something much worse.
I urge him, if he does have any information, please be man enough to step forward.
Hoping to change the narrative, Condit agrees to a national television interview with ABC's Connie Chung.
He felt as if I was interrogating him under a hot light. In many ways, I was.
24 million people watched the interview. It went a lot like this.
Congressman Condit, do you know what happened to Chandra Levy?
No, I do not.
Did you have anything to do with her disappearance?
No, I didn't.
Did you kill Chandra Levy?
I did not. We had a close relationship. I liked her very much.
May I ask you, was it a sexual relationship?
Well, Connie, I've been married for 34 years, and I've not been a perfect man, and I've made my share of mistakes. But out of respect for my family and out of a specific request from the Levy family, I think it's best that I not get into those details about Chandra Levy.
Was that respect for you?
I laughed about it because I thought it was so false, phony.
It's just his way of weaseling out of it.
It was preposterous. You just have to shake your head and say, why would he even agree to do the interview if he's not going to be forthcoming?
New Dr. Phil.
Just last week, Condit gave his first interview in 14 years to Dr. Phil.
Came by your condo once?
Well, maybe twice.
He may have looked somewhat different, but he sounded pretty much the same.
Why is it you will not answer publicly whether or not you had a sexual relationship with Chandra Levy?
I haven't, answered that question publicly for 15 years, and I'm not going to change my position or my view on that today.
But if Condit is reluctant to speak frankly, the forensic evidence speaks for itself.
Chandra Levy's panties, taken from her apartment shortly after her disappearance, contained bodily fluids. DNA tests determined the fluids came from Gary Condit.
And yet, think what you will of Gary Condit, there's no evidence he was involved in Chandra Levy's disappearance.
Most of us in the police department and the FBI agreed that he was not our suspect and that we needed to be looking elsewhere.
The case of the missing Washington intern.
As the case continues to dominate the news, it seems nothing can trump the story of the missing intern and her friendly congressman. Until, of course, something does. And then September 11 happens. What happened to you and your investigation and your detectives?
The media attention went away. We lost a big helping hand with the FBI because devotion of resources to terrorism, things changed dramatically.
With the world's attention diverted, the Levys are left with little to go on.
Because there's no body, you still hope she's alive somewhere, like with any missing person. That's all you got is hope.
As the case loses momentum,
Gary Condit lost his congressional seat.
Condit loses his bid for re-election to nobody's surprise.
Very difficult to win a race when you're being accused of murder.
It's been a great opportunity to be in public service.
Weeks later, a striking coincidence. Award-winning Washington Post reporter Sari Horowitz is revisiting the now cold case of the missing intern.
I arranged a breakfast with a police official, and during the breakfast, his pager just started going off.
Then a timely break that a reporter can only dream of.
And when he came back, he had this stunned look on his face. And he said, "You're not gonna believe this, but I just got a call and they think they found Chandra Levy's remains in Rock Creek Park."
The remains lay in a remote section of Washington's largest park, 5 miles from Chandra's apartment. Finally, they discover her body in Rock Creek Park. Huge park.
Huge park. Twice as big as Central Park in New York City.
The gruesome discovery made by a park regular.
I was walking my dog and I came across a human skull.
This is actual crime scene video, never before seen publicly. Those are Chandra's Reebok sneakers and her jogging pants tied in knots, which would lead investigators to believe this was no accident. But no sighting of her gold ring.
You cried.
Yeah, I cried a lot.
Screamed and cried.
Yeah.
You can't imagine to have your child laying out there. It seems so unfair.
For detectives, the discovery brings relief, but also embarrassment.
This is something that we all have to live with. There may have been DNA evidence that all that was lost because of the fact that we were unable to locate her remains during the time that we were searching the park.
The remains found 79 yards off a dirt path down a sharply steep embankment. Police had searched 100 yards off all paved roads. Had they searched 100 yards off all foot trails too, they may have found Chandra's body, DNA intact, months earlier.
Some people see that as evidence of ineptitude on the part of the police. Is that fair?
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Critics say it wasn't to be the only police blunder. Days after Levy's disappearance, an untrained officer tried going through her computer and accidentally corrupted the data, which would have shown Levy had researched Rock Creek Park. And on top of that, another oversight at her apartment building.
What about the surveillance camera of her building? So many times people look to see who came and went in a building.
Things like surveillance cameras, unless you go and initially grab them or tell the management to hold them, they erase or disappear. And unfortunately, that's what happened in this case.
At least now the Levys can have a memorial and lay their beloved daughter to rest.
She was a quiet but very powerful force, very smart and funny. I felt like she was going somewhere. It was just really disheartening.
When we come back, police find more secrets in the park and set sights on a new man. Will there be justice for Chandra?
When we get 2 attacks on women by a guy with a knife in a short distance to where Levy's body was found, that stands out like a neon sign.
And for the first time, the voice of the witness who could both make and break the case.
He told me he didn't know he killed her. It was an accident.